Hey, this is the C&D channel. I'm Chris, and this is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my predictions for Strikeforce Barnett versus Kharitonov, which is the semifinals of the Strikeforce-Heavyweight Grand Prix. So let's get right to it. We have the prelims, which are going to be on HDNet, and the main card, which is going to be on Showtime. One thing is, the prelims are just really interesting. You got a lot of veterans. Almost all the fight, or like 3 of the fights, or actually 4 of them, are prospects versus veteran. So actually, even Rockhold versus Souza. You got a lot of prospects versus veterans just all over this card. Actually, now that I think about it, so it's a really interesting night of fights. So let's get right to it. First fight, we have Dominic Steele versus Chris Merzwak. I don't know anything about these guys, so this is a pick'em. I'm just going to go with Chris Merzwak. Next fight after that, we have a female fight at 135 pounds, as Alexis Davis is going to fight Amanda Nunes. Alexis Davis is mainly a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. A lot of her wins are by submission or decision. She last beat Julie Kedzie in, I think it was Strikeforce Fader versus Henderson. Whereas Amanda Nunes, she's 6-1. All 6 wins are by TKO or KO. She last beat Julia Budd, actually. She's actually kind of been laid off for a couple months now. I think Nunes might have been injured with something. Which does concern me. And her only loss in her career is her first loss, which is by armbar. So you definitely have like the striker versus grappler thing going on here. I'm kind of on the Amanda Nunes bandwagon here, so I'm a bit biased. I mean, this is one of those fights where it's like Amanda Nunes, you know, she's knocked out all her opponents. She has an emphatic knockout over Julia Budd. And she could be one of those people in the division that's, you know, you want to see that, you know, that knocks out her opponents. And Davis, you know, she could just grapple her way to victory here. It's very possible, but I'm going to go with Amanda Nunes to win this one. I can't say if this fight won't hit the ground, though. It's really hard to say, you know. Because the fight could hit the ground, and Davis, more likely than not, will probably be on top. You just gotta wonder how Nunes would respond to that if it goes there. Nunes definitely has the superior striking, especially in the boxing. But yeah, so I'm gonna go with Amanda Nunes to win this one. Okay, next fight after that, we have Canadian prospect Jordan Meehan versus Evangelista Cyborg Santos. This one's kind of hard to choose. Meehan just recently beat Mayer Saromskis by unanimous decision. He's also beaten Joe Riggs and Josh Berkman. Evangelista Cyborg. This is one of those weird things with Strikeforce, and Mike Kyle's kind of in this position too. It's like in Strikeforce, he's actually kind of near the top of the division, but if he were in the UFC, he'd probably be a mid-tier guy. Cyborg has really good stand-up. I like that he's at 170. He's looked really good in this weight. His fight with Saromskis was really cool. I've seen, of course, Cyborg's fight with Melvin Manouf, which was just awesome. So it's really hard to say who'll win. One thing about Meehan is, from what I've seen from him, you know, he does like to stand. He's only 21. His first fight was with like Rory McDonald. He changes stances a lot of times in his fights. He's kind of a lanky guy. I see him. He has a really good like right cross. I really like that. With Cyborg, like when he fought Diaz, I mean, he was throwing some vicious outside leg kicks. His stand-up's really good, and he's really aggressive. He'll push forward a lot. You saw it in the Zaromskis fight. You saw it in the Diaz fight. he'll push forward a lot. And one thing with Meehan is he likes to take center, and he likes to push forward too, from the fights I've seen from him. So, this one, it's really hard to call. Meehan, there's still stuff about him that I find to be kind of slow. Like when he fought, like Zaromskis. Zaromskis does this, like, flip, rolling, like, axe kick. And you see Meehan wanting to do some flashy moves too. You kind of get, like, he shows maturity there. He doesn't show maturity in that sense. But for the most part, he has really good conditioning. He doesn't get in too many, like, wild brawls. He's good at, like, hitting the guys and getting out. Santos has a really good chin. He got armbarred by Diaz, but from what I heard, he has really good. He actually does have some legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. This one's actually really hard for me to call. One thing I wasn't fond with Meehan is, especially when he fought Zaromskis, he really left his body and his legs exposed. And I'm kind of leaning towards Santos to win. He'll definitely be. I think he'll be the bigger guy. He hits really hard. For one, he has really solid Muay Thai. He's starting to get a little more technical about it too, but you still see him brawl a little while. My concerns with Cyborg though, he gasses, but he will keep pushing forward. I'm leaning towards Santos, but not counting out Meehan whatsoever in this. He is a prospect to look out for. Really young, already has like 29 fights. So he's a prospect to go out for, but I'm leaning more towards Santos here. Okay, next fight after that we have Rafael Feijóo Cavalcante versus Yoel Romero. This is a really interesting fight. Romero, Cuban bronze Olympic medalist, if I'm not mistaken. I could be off there. I know he's Olympic caliber, and he's also trains with a lot of Cuban professional Cuban boxers as well. From the fights I've seen, his boxing actually does look really good. His age always concerns me. He's like 30. He's like in his mid-30s, if I'm not mistaken. With Romero, one thing that was really cool. This was the coolest thing. I remember he was just standing with his opponent. All of a sudden, you see him like go for the guy's ankle. He grabs the guy's ankle, pulls it, and that's his takedown right there. It was really neat. It was just like something I've never seen in MMA. Feijóo, he's lost to Mike Kyle before. He's beaten like Antron Britt. He beat King Mo, of course, and then he lost to Dan Henderson. I'd like Feijóo a lot. He's very solid Muay Thai. I liked that when King Mo took him down, that he went back to his feet. He's a big light heavyweight. Really good knees. Really good jiu-jitsu too. I remember Dan Henderson was on top in Feijóo's half guard, and he managed to sweep and get on top of Henderson. He hits hard too. He actually knocked down Henderson with an overhand right in their first round. He started to back up a lot. I question his mental game. Feijóo's mental game sometimes. Losing to Kyle. I think he was overweight in that fight. It just one of it's hard to get past that sometimes. You gotta wonder. But you know what? Like when he fought Britt, he got knocked down. He got back up, knocked Britt out. Against King Mo, he was getting body punched a lot, but he didn't give up. So maybe I'm overestimating that a little too much. This fight's really hard for me to call it. The thing that gets me is Romero's inexperience, but his credentials are amazing. Feijóo's fought some really good guys, and he looked good. Even in his loss against Henderson, especially in the first round, he looked really good. So it's really hard to say. I'm honestly, This one's really tough for me to call, actually. I'm leaning a little more towards Fejao, though. He's shown some really good skills. I think he has a lot more experience against higher MMA fighters. Obviously, Romero, he has, but the thing is, Romero's got, like, the wrestling. He has good stand-up, too, actually. That's the thing. The guy's a beast, for all intents and purposes. Man. It's tough to say. I remember I was having an argument one time, or, just a discussion about, like, this fight, some people are picking, like, Romero, and some people are picking, like, Fejao. This one's a really tough one to call. I'm going to go with Fejao based on more experience here. And he has shown solid skills in his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and his stand-up. His wrestling's not bad either. It's nowhere near Romero's or anything. I'm going to go Fejao. Once again, really interesting fight. You don't really know what's going to happen. You got veteran, more or less a veteran, versus a prospect. Okay, next fight after that, we have Marcos Rogério de Lima versus Mike Kyle. I like Mike Kyle. He's a guy that actually looks good in loss. Of course, he's beaten guys like Fejao. He's a guy that used to actually do a lot of infractions. He's known for, being, doing some, I guess, inappropriate things in the cage. I think he beat up a guy well after, like, the ref pulled him off or something like that. It was really bad. Really solid stand-up. He's fought in heavyweight against, like, Verdum. He's fought Antonio Silva. He actually looked really good against Verdum. Verdum managed to get the guillotine on him. But he looked really good there. He looked really good against Antonio Silva as well. He actually knocked him down with an overhand. And was ground and pounding him and ended up losing by TKO in the second round. De Lima, he's 8-0. He has six victories by, like, KO or like TKO. One of his victories too is a tap out from strikes. I was just watching his fight with Paulo Filho actually before this. I really like some of his combinations. I really like his outside leg kicks. He showed some pretty good takedown defense against Filho as well. This one, I'm going to go with the prospect here in De Lima. It's one of those things where it goes back to, like, if Kyle's kind of, like, up there in Strikeforce. He's actually shown some well-rounded ability. And he's fought a lot of guys. De Lima, he's new. He's a new prospect, but, like, it's a thing where in Strikeforce, Mike Kyle's, like, one of the top guys. In the UFC, he'd only be, like, a mid-tier guy. When he fought in the UFC, I think he was only a mid-tier guy, actually. I'm going to go with De Lima to win this one. I liked what I saw from him. So, yeah. That's it pretty much for the prelim card, and now we'll go on to the main card. We have Maximo Blanco versus Pat Healy. This one's actually going to be pretty tough call. We also have the prospect and Maximo Blanco, who came from Sengoku, fighting Pat Healy, who's taking the fight on short notice. He's coming off a win over Eric Wisely. One thing about Pat Healy is he makes fights really ugly. That's not to say they're not entertaining. It's just they're he'll clinch. He'll really force that takedown. The beer bomb fight was really cool, and there's so much scrambling going on, but he makes for an ugly fight. And that's not to say it's boring or not entertaining. That's not what I mean. They're just not. I don't know how else to put it. They're just not pretty fights with Pat Healy. He's fought the who's who also. This guy's fought like Carlos Condit, and he's a really big 155er. Maximo Blanco, he has, for one thing, I think he's like Venezuelan, and he's actually, I actually has a really good wrestling background. Healy arguably is going to be his toughest opponent to date. Blanco has shown some really good stand-up as well. I'm going to go with Maximo Blanco. I think he does have the better stand-up. I think it'll be hard for Healy to take him down. So yeah, I'm going with Maximo Blanco to win this one. Next fight after that, we have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu phenom Roger Gracie versus Muhammed Kingmo Lawal. I want to pick Gracie to win this one. I really do. I really like Roger Gracie. I liked seeing him against Randleman. And actually, 4 fights in and you're fighting Trevor Prangley and beating him by rear naked choke is actually pretty good. I mean, Prangley's been around the block, and if you're beating a guy that's that experienced in your 4th fight, I mean, you're actually pretty good, in my opinion. I mean, that's pretty good. If you have another guy in his 4th fight fighting Trevor Prangley, I'm not like saying Trevor Prangley's like the greatest fighter in the world or anything, but fighting a guy like that like so early in your career and beating him, that's pretty good. With King Mo, I mean, he's fought Gegard Mousasi really early in his career, and beat him with his superior wrestling. One thing with King Mo, I do feel one thing that with his wrestling background, I mean, it's a great, his freestyle wrestling accolades are like tremendous, obviously. I just cannot see Roger Gracie getting this fight to the ground. I can't see it. I can't see him pulling guard. I can't see him taking him down. I can't see him knocking him down. And from what I've seen from Lawal, he does have the better stand-up, in my opinion, to Gracie. Gracie's stand-up's actually not half bad, though. Especially when he fought Randleman. I mean, he was pumping out a jab, throwing a couple kicks, moving around. He wasn't just like totally still or anything. It's not bad. Maybe because I was expecting him to have like terrible stand-up, I guess. But it wasn't that bad. It's not great or anything, but it was a lot better than I expected it to be. But King Mo, I just think, for one, he's shown a little more power, or a lot more power actually. I feel he has a much better stand-up, and I just cannot see him on the ground with Gracie. So I gotta go with King Mo to win this one. I really like watching Roger Gracie's or Hoger Gracie's fights, though. I mean, it's kind of a novelty for me to see him fight MMA personally. I mean, the way he takes the back sometimes, the way he can like take someone down, kind of like keep him there too. It's a thing of beauty with him. I'm probably gonna be rooting for Gracie to win, but I really think King Mo is gonna take this one. Okay, next fight after that, for the middleweight title, we have Luke Rockhold versus Ronaldo Jacare Souza. The thing with, I like Luke Rockhold. He is a great prospect in the middleweight division. What I don't like is he's fighting someone of the caliber of Jacare so early in his career, and he's had such a long layoff. For that reason, I just cannot pick him to win this one. Souza too, his stand-up's greatly improving. He beat Tim. He's beating Tim Kennedy in the stand-up. He's naturally athletic. His takedowns are actually pretty good. Very underrated takedown ability. He also has a judo back, maybe underrated. He has good takedown ability. I believe he's a judo black belt too, so it really helps him. And his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is phenomenal. I just see Souza taking this. Probably getting the fight to the ground. It's not like he can't stand with Rockhold or anything like that. But just seeing, especially how he fought like Lawal and whatnot, I can see him just take the fight to the ground and winning the ground battle. Okay. Next fight after that, we have heavyweight prospect Daniel Cormier versus Antonio Bigfoot Silva. For the which is a semifinal for the heavyweight Grand Prix. Heavyweight Grand Prix. I got Antonio Silva winning this one. Daniel Cormier does have the advantage in wrestling. However, his hands, actually his stand-up's getting a lot better. I'm judging from the Devin Cole fight especially. The Monson fight he looked really good, but he was fighting someone his own size. When he fought Devin Cole, who was a lot taller, he managed to take him down at will, but he was, at no time during the fight was he able to keep him down. The other thing is, when he was punching, he had to really reach, and at times it looks like he was like almost lunging for the punches. But he definitely has to really reach for these punches, because he's such a small heavyweight. With Antonio Bigfoot Silva, I remember seeing him in the Verdum fight. He was on his back in Verdum's side mount, and he just got back to his feet. His size and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills, if he's down on the ground, will more than likely allow him to get back to his feet. I'd be really surprised if he doesn't. You know, I can't see Cormier keeping him down. I can see him taking him down. I just can't see him keeping him down. Antonio Silva is going to definitely have a reach advantage here. I think he's probably... Cormier actually has some really good stand-up. I'm really impressed with him. He does throw a lot of combinations. And the problem is, it's the height difference. It is what it is, you know. Antonio Silva also has some pretty good boxing himself. So I definitely see Antonio Silva winning the stand-up battle as well. Mainly because of the height advantage. I actually do like Daniel Cormier's stand-up a lot. It's just that height advantage is just something and size advantage I just can't see him overcoming in this fight. Add in the fact that Antonio Silva has some good stand-up and some really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills. So I have Silva winning that one. And finally, we have Sergei Kharitonov versus Josh Barnett. I think he's calling himself like the War Master now instead of the Babyface Assassin. Whatever he's calling himself, I do have him winning this one using his catch wrestling. Sergei, he definitely hits hard. He stalks a lot. He's not exactly someone I'd call quick. He hits really hard. You saw it against the Lovsky fight. I've seen it against like Mizuno and whatnot. I like Sergei. I just think that he's going to get taken down, and I think he's probably going to get kept there as well. It's not like he's incapable of jiu-jitsu. He actually armbarred Mike Russo. Mike Russo's only loss, if I'm not mistaken, is that armbar by Sergei Kharitonov. I don't think we'll be seeing any submissions from Kharitonov on Barnett. I just see Barnett really winning with the superior wrestling. Barnett too, actually his stand-up isn't bad. It's not like he has horrible stand-up. But you know, even against Brett Rogers, I mean, he showed that you know, he knew that the guy hits hard, and so he just you know, and Gilbert Ivo as well. He took the fight to the ground where it's safest for him, and I can just definitely see Barnett, you know, getting the fight down. I can see him like pushing him against a cage and really forcing that takedown against a cage. That's kind of how I see Barnett being able to get the takedowns on Kharitonov. Who knows? Maybe he'll just do some power double legs or something. But that's mainly how I see Barnett winning with the superior wrestling. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my Strikeforce Barnett versus Kharitonov predictions. If you have any comments, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thank you very much.